Good morning and welcome to the show today on Jasiri. Now we're talking about something many people use every day without even thinking about it, technology. But imagine a world where you couldn't read a text message, cross a busy road safely, use a computer independently, or even access information that most people take for granted. For millions of persons with disabilities, these aren't hypothetical challenges. They are everyday realities. Yet, thanks to advances in assistive technology, barriers that once seemed impossible to overcome are being broken down. From smart mobility devices and screen readers to braille displays and communication tools, technology is opening doors to education, employment, independence, and inclusion. And that's why World Assistive Technology Day matters, because this isn't just a conversation about gadgets and devices. It is a conversation about opportunity, about dignity, about ensuring that no one is excluded simply because the tools they need are unavailable, unaffordable, or unknown. Now, joining us is not just to tell us, but to show us is Opeolu Akinola, CEO of Accesstech Innovation and Research Center. Opeolu, welcome to Jasiri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Good morning.
All right. Opeolu, for viewers, hearing the term for the first time, like, what is assistive technology? And, why should everyone, not just persons with disabilities, care about this particular conversation?
Okay, well, what's assistive technology? Let's start from there. Isn't every technology supposed to be assistive?
That's a point.
But in this case, it's the extra effort made to ensure that technology works for people who have impairments, because mainstream technology was cutting people off. You have televisions, especially when the digital televisions came, for example.
Yeah.
You couldn't use it if you're a person with visual impairment because the television wasn't speaking. It wasn't the kind of thing you could twiddle around with knobs and get your stations. You had to operate touch screens, and it wasn't talking, so you didn't know what you were pressing. So now it became assistive when speech was added to the controls so that you will know exactly what you're doing. So assistive technology is the crossroads between mainstream technology and making technology accessible to persons with disabilities.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so it's that bridge that makes everything easier for everyone.
Exactly, that's the idea, because without the bridge, it's like you get to a building that's an upstairs, there's no staircase. So probably it's only people who are very fit and can climb the pillars that get upstairs. But with staircase, everybody can go upstairs, or with ramps, to be more precise.
Yes.
Because then some people are using wheelchairs as well. So when it's a ramp, everybody can, even elderly people find it convenient to go upstairs.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so let's look at this. The World Health Organization estimates that more than 2.5 billion people globally, that is, need at least one assistive product. And that number is expected to rise significantly in the coming years. Yet access remains a major challenge, particularly in low and middle income countries like Nigeria. So when you hear a statistic like that about 2.5 billion people globally need at least one assistive product, and that number is going to go up, what do you think that tells us in terms of the scale of the unmet needs? And in all honesty, I'm afraid of this answer, but where does Nigeria currently stand when it comes to providing assistive technology for those who need it the most?
Yeah, that's when you said 2.5 billion, I knew it was a frightening statistic, because that's about a quarter, maybe a little less than a quarter of the world's current population. But again, you just ask, where does Nigeria stand?
Yes.
So in countries like the US and UK, maybe Australia, assistive technology penetration is about 90%. That means just about 10% of people don't get the assistive devices they need. Yeah. It's exactly the reverse in Nigeria. So it's like 90% of people who need assistive devices don't get them. So we are really, really way down. And I think it's a desperate situation. It's not just a situation we should look at, because it means that a lot of people are out of work, a lot of people are out of school. And of course, the national GDP is being affected, because people who are supposed to be assets are now liabilities, just because something is not there to ensure that their potentials are put into the national progress pool.
That's a valid point.
When people talk, especially in Nigeria, when we talk about disability, people often focus on limitations, yeah? So what are some of the barriers that society creates, and how can technology help get rid of them or remove them?
Okay, so yes, the attitude is a very important thing. But attitude can only stand as far as facts go.
Wait, sorry, attitude in one sense. Attitude from the rest of society, or the attitude that a person, maybe somebody living with disabilities or special needs has?
Very good question. A person with disability is a part of the society, so they inherit part of the attitude too. So it's a very, very interesting thing, but I mean, we don't have time to talk on that now. But, you know, when somebody lives in a society where they think you can't do things, after some time you begin to think that you can't actually do. So the attitude kind of spreads. The attitude creates the limitations. Now, so what can be done? Firstly, we have to do a lot of awareness. People have to know. Because when people don't know, it's like it's darkness. When there's light, people can move around. So it's just the same thing. When we have a dark house, everybody wants to sit where they are because everybody's afraid that they will fall. But when there's light, everybody moves around freely because they're sure they can see whatever is on the way and all that. It's the same thing with advocacy. A lot of people need to know what is available, what people can do. People have children who are people with disabilities. People have parents who have disabilities. And they just assume that those people have become a burden. They have to do everything for them. To the point that, I mean, I know a lady who got blind and the parents were thinking of how to be feeding her. I mean, that's spoon feed, not just provide food. No. So it goes as bad as that. And technology is going to cross that barrier. I mean, we have technology at the level of low-tech items. We have mid-tech and we have high-tech. Yeah. And so we have basic things like a basic mobility cane is something a blind person would need to just use to detect obstacles and just to check where they are safely. Now, that's basic. That's something every person with disability, every visually impaired person needs to have. Even those who have they need to have what we call a symbol cane. It may not be as sturdy as the one the totally blind people use, but it's a cane that tells everybody else around that this person has got some vision problems, and therefore you have to be careful. People like motorists, they have to know that somebody who doesn't see perfectly is trying to cross the road or is moving on the sidewalk, and you know. So people have to be careful. It asks other people to the fact that that person has a disability, as well as helping the person with disability to find their way around. So that's basic. Now you have mid-tech, like like our banisters on the staircase, we take them for granted. For some people who have mobility problems, that's a lifeline. If I were using crutches, I mean, grabbing banisters is a good support system to ensure that I'm going up the stairs safely. And people who use wheelchairs too, even when you have ramps, you assume that a ramp is just something they wheel up. No, it's good to have guardrails around ramps as well. Yeah. Because accidents can occur, anything can happen. And safety is also part of inclusion. Yeah. If there's no safety, there can't be inclusion.
You know, so, I need to ask here because I feel like, especially with a country like Nigeria, we're talking about assistive technology now, but there's a gap between our lived realities or the realities of people in Nigeria who have special needs and the jump we want to make to join the rest of the world in assistive technology. So, Opeolu, talk to us about the gaps that already exist. As I'm thinking right now, I'm already thinking about banks and those small cubicles. And I'm wondering how people who may be in a wheelchair or may need further assistance or might be using a cane, how are they supposed to access those small cubicles to get inside? Many banks now have multi-levels. Where are the stairs? Not the stairs. Where are the escalators or the elevators is what I'm looking for people who might need further assistance. So before we even look at assistive technology further, what are the gaps that exist in our society that we have not yet made it easy for people who have special needs to access and be able to live or work or interact independently?
Okay, so we've mentioned the physical barriers. That's buildings that don't have ramps or proper elevators and things like that. Those are physical. What of colors? Even the colors matter because some people don't see colors well. And you have to, then signage for people who are hearing impaired. They need to have proper signage. They go into a building, they don't know where the restroom is, and they can't ask because when they do ask, they can't ask because they don't talk, and the other person doesn't understand sign language, and someone needs to use the restroom. So if things are properly labeled, they don't have to ask questions. They can find their way around just by looking at the signage. Okay, so those are that's physical. What of digital barriers? So we make websites And then we ensure that the websites have all images, all pictures, everything is moving. We look, people who are visually impaired cannot use a website when the images are not captioned. But even that what of people with invisible disabilities? People who have things like epilepsy, who are prone to seizures. When a website has too many flickering things and things moving around, it's a problem because that can trigger a seizure. And we don't know about what of lights? The lights we use in our places. Some people use lights that are too bright, and when they're too bright, they affect people that have sensory disabilities, like people who have autism and other kind of. So there are so many things, and we have to start being conscious of how we plan our environment so that other people can participate and enjoy what we enjoy and be part of the process.
Okay. Opeolu, can you help us understand the difference, between simply living with a disability and living independently with the right assistive tools?
Okay, so the difference is for two people. Yeah. For a person with disability, the difference is a whole life, because when you are excluded, not just excluded, when you are restricted by the circumstances, lack of access, lack of equipment, lack of proper policies and all that, it means that you are caged. So all the person's potential is caged. The person is limited to their disability. Look at it. A visually impaired person, a blind person, cannot see. When everything around is against the person, you don't have reading access, you don't have travel access, all the person thinks about is the fact that they're blind. Now, that's one part. Then when these things are provided, when the person has a computer, when the person can read and can go to school, when the person can talk to everybody else, can relate, can read the newspaper when they want, you can see the difference changes. The person becomes a person. The person begins to aspire to the same things other people aspire to. They begin to say, I'm a content creator. You hear blind people say, I'm a content creator. That's only because they can create content on their phone independently. If they couldn't, they wouldn't be thinking about content creation as one of the activities they want to participate in. So it actually enlarges life for the person. It makes the person come alive virtually, because other life activities are now opened up for the person with disability who has access to the right environment and the right equipment.
Opeolu, I'm enjoying the conversation because there's so many times in Nigeria that we just exclude people that have disabilities. We just think they're not able to do things. They just need assistance. And I see a lot of technology development abroad. I've seen cars that have been abridged, changed completely, that are hand-controlled for somebody that has only one hand. And it fascinates me very much. So let's even talk about, for many families, access to information is a challenge on its own. So what kinds of accessible technologies exist today across different disability groups? And how aware, are Nigerians that these technologies already are available to support people with disabilities? Because a lot of people don't know that cars can be customized.
Yes.
If I had not seen a lot on social media, I would not have believed it.
Oh, but even in Nigeria, some people use some of these things. It's just that you have to be really rich and aware to have the technology you need. But again, technology can only work in support systems. Like I mentioned about the internet. If I have a good computer with a screen reader and the website I'm working on is not accessible, I'm still cut off from enjoying the things that are. Was it Tolu that mentioned the banks or something?
Yes.
Yes, you mentioned banks. So we talked about the physical structure. What of the apps? When I have a mobile phone and I download the bank app and the bank app interface is not accessible, it means that I'm still dependent on another person to do my financial transactions.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of situations that we find ourselves. And Olive, you said disabled. Disabled is a very, you said able. Yes, you said able. But the word disabled came from able. And when I was doing my master's in disability studies, we used to use the word in class a lot, because we believe that disability itself is the impairment. It is the things that happen in society that ensure that that impairment stops you from doing the things you have to do that is called disability. So in the UK, they prefer to say disabled people rather than to say people with disabilities, just because they believe that the society is supposed to ensure that those people are enabled. And if they don't use the word disabled, they won't realize that that is an issue they want to face. So, and that's one of the things we have to understand about disability and what are available. Now, for blind people, for example, we have writing materials a lot of organizations have that. And then we have refreshable Braille devices. That's the cost, because Braille is big. If I were to come in here with my Braille Bible, all of us will be involved in bringing it in, because we have about,
It's quite voluminous.
18 volumes, like the size of Encyclopedia Britannica.
Wow.
So I can't take my Bible to church as a Braille Bible. I go with different special assistants. So someone is carrying Matthew, the other one is carrying Mark. So they say, read Mark. I say, yeah, just bring the Mark that with you. But with digital Braille, it's just a small device. I'm going to show it later. It's just a small device. It's the same thing. You put all your digital files in it. You can, like mine has about 32 gig of memory. In that, I have thousands of books, thousands of materials I can read. My Bible, I have so many versions of the Bible on my device as well. So as I'm in church and they're saying, open, we want to use the message, I can just bring it out on my device. That was impossible.
A few years
ago. And of course, let's talk about what we call this mainstream technology that has been adapted. Okay, adaptive technology. That is the mainstream technology that is not adapted so that people with disabilities can use them. Like a standard Android phone or a standard iPhone, Apple product, or a standard Windows computer. Each of them comes built in with accessibility. So if you're using a Windows computer and you're a visually impaired person, you use the shortcut Control Windows Enter, and then it begins to talk. And you want to switch it off, do the same thing. It goes off. Now, on the same computer, you have magnification for people who have low vision.
Okay.
And you also have Sentry. The Sentry is for people who are hearing impaired. So all the sounds your computer makes, there's this corresponding visual effect that enables the person to know. So if there's an error, there's an error flash that flashes, the person knows that. These are things that are already built into the society, the computer. What of mouse? Some people are left-handed.
Just hold that thought, Opeolu, because we know that seeing is believing, and still ahead on Jasiri. When we return, Opeolu will take us beyond the conversation and into a live demonstration of some remarkable technologies that are helping persons with disabilities navigate the world, access information, and live more independently, from smart mobility devices to screen readers and digital braille displays. You'll see firsthand how innovation is changing lives. Stay with us.
So we've spent the first part of the conversation talking about the conversations talking about the promise of assistive technology. Now it's time to see that promise in action. Because many people, these devices are, the difference between dependence and independence, between exclusion and participation, between being limited by barriers and having the freedom to move, learn and work, connect with the world. So today, Opeolu has brought along some of the technologies that are helping make all that possible. So let's start with these smart mobility aid. How does it work? And what difference does it make from the traditional cane that many people are familiar with? And when he did tell us how much it costs, how much respect for it.
So yes, let's start with the cane.
Yes,
what makes this different than the traditional walking assistive device that many people are used to seeing with those who might have a visual impairment?
Okay, so this cane, it connects with your phone by Bluetooth, so you can use a GPS app that is on the phone. And then when you're going on the road, it tells the blind person where you are. So, and it can act virtually direct. For example, my office is not far from ShopRite in Surulere. If I were using this cane and I was at ShopRite and I put my address, the address of my company, it tells me, go to your left. And I'm go straight. And then when I get to the turning, that's my street, it says turn to your right, which is my street. And then along the street, it begins to tell me this is your number 2, number 4, till I get to my office, which is number 18. So as soon as I get to number 18, I know I'm at my destination. So I can move around independently. Before, a traditional cane, you use it to find the curb. Maybe you trace the curb. You have to know when you get to your turning. You turn around the turning. Then you begin to look for landmarks, maybe a signpost or an electric pole or something that will let you know when you get close to where you're going. And sometimes you miss it because with open drains, you want to be careful how you move close to the...
I wanted to say something because we're in a country and a city that half the sidewalks are not working. They're missing. They're missing the concrete slab. Just thinking about the dangers.
Wow.
That's horrible. Those are the horrible things we have to face. That's why I think awareness is very important. A lot of people work and they don't realize the effect of what they've done. You remove a slab and you don't realize that a wheelchair person cannot use that pavement again. A blind person cannot because it's unsafe. I mean, especially a place you know. Even for people who are sighted, something happens to you. A place you know very well, you can see, but you just don't see. Because you don't expect
you're not taking
cognizance, and you could fall into that ditch.
Yeah.
So it's something we have to be more conscious about. I think disability was created by God to ensure that human beings are a little more conscious about the things they do to themselves and to the environment.
Is it possible for you to extend this one now?
Yeah.
I can also see a little thing like a bulb or something on it. Is that?
Oh, yeah, it's got it's got an LED light so that at night
people can see you as well. Oh wow! Okay, hand it to me. I can extend it. I can show it so that you can see. Okay. So wow. So this is it. So what is at the bottom is what is... No, this is the bulb.
Yeah.
Okay, so which way? So the bulb is at the top, correct?
Yeah, that's the top.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
And then it's got a roller tip. So when you're moving in a place that is smooth, like in a place like a room like this, you don't have to lift it. So it doesn't stress you.
Yes, it just stays on the ground and roll it along. So it has like a motion...
So you just swipe it from left to right. So that anything in front of you touches it.
Okay, this is one. All right, what else?
It's got sensors as well. So the traditional cane, if there's a signboard, the blind person is likely to hit their head on it because the traditional cane does not check what is up at head level. But this has sensors. So if anything is at head level, it's going to vibrate so that...
You are aware of it.
Wow.
Do we want to... How much?
He said this thing is...
That will cost about more than €1 million currently.
Wow.
Yeah, but of course, you know,
honestly, imagine.
But as the technology becomes more common and easier to access, and more people are investing in this,
exactly.
You can reduce the cost.
So
that's what we need to do.
Especially on this part of the country. In the UK, it might not cost maybe more than maybe 800,000, maybe 700. But because you have to think of importing it, and then you have to think of paying custom duty when you bring it in, then...
So that should be another part of the conversation. We should not be seeing too many custom duties, taxation, or importation taxes on things or like these that are mobility aids, correct?
You know, interestingly, assistive technology falls under health products. And yet, they're not treated as health products by the customs.
They're treated as what? Personal items?
Yeah, and whatever, technology. So they charge you what they charge for technology. This thing has battery in it, so they have to charge extra for the battery and all kinds of things. But the Ministry of Health has the assistive products list, which means that it's right under their purview. And so there should be a synergy between the government agencies to ensure that whatever one ministry has made as a policy, the other ones understand it. And then the effect, the advantages that it's supposed to, the privileges, get to the people that need them. So I think we have to have a policy on assistive technology.
It's great that you mentioned that.
And even local production.
As well too. Yes, so that we're not having to pay the FDI for this if we can make it locally as well. Okay, what else do we have here?
Can I touch it?
Okay, so this is... Sure. It won't bite you. Okay. So this is a refreshable Braille device. And you can see it's got a keyboard. Now, this part of the keyboard is Braille cells. This is a Braille keyboard. This is dot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So, and then, of course, now, right here is a Braille display part of it. It's displaying Braille. And then I could, okay, so I can, okay, I was talking about the Bible. Now, I'm opening the King James Bible on this now. And... So
is it connected to your computer or anything?
No, this is standalone.
This is a whole device on its own.
I can't connect it to the computer, yes, to get, if I want what is showing on my screen to show in Braille.
Yeah, because it looks like a keypad.
Yes, it looks like, so this is modeled like a normal QWERTY keypad. It's got the function keys, F1 to F12, it's got tab, it's got all those things. That's the idea of the person the company that make this particular one. But a lot of them don't have all these keys. Every command is issued from here. But trust me, there are equivalents for all those F1 and F2 for the Braille keyboard as well. Depending on how there are combinations of commands that would have the same effect if I were to connect this to a computer. So this, as it is, I can connect it to my computer and to my mobile phone simultaneously. You can connect to about 6 devices at a time by Bluetooth. and I can switch between the various devices as I'm working. So if I were in a car, and I can operate my phone. I don't have to bring out my phone once it's connected to this device. I can do my email, I can do my WhatsApp, I can do whatever I like in Braille. And I don't have to disturb the next person, because when you use screen readers, it talks, people hear. But this is quiet.
Okay, so I want to understand. So when you're pressing the key, or when you're pressing the Braille keypad, it raises the equivalent Braille reading on the silver parts, on the part where your finger is at now, right?
Yes, yes. If I were doing that now, so I can read this is a document that is already open, and then because it has one line of Braille, you can see there are 4 buttons on the sides. I don't know if you can see. So these 4 buttons, this one takes the Braille back. Like if I have one line of Braille, I want to go to the previous line, I just press this. So that enables me to read a lot of Braille on just this one line.
Wow.
So I have the lower buttons take it to the next line. So I'm changing the line.
So because as I'm looking at it, it's looking like different parts of the Braille are rising up, right?
Exactly. So so when the pattern, you know the Braille about the pattern of the dots?
Yes.
The patterns. So for a new Braille 9, a new pattern of dots shows. You can see, so that's how it shows. So it's called the refreshable Braille device, actually, because it's refreshing the Braille.
Wow.
And this, a student that has this is very, very, you can carry almost the whole thing in your university library on this device in digital format.
This is one that has 32 gig.
Yes, this has 32 gig of memory on it.
I can see the Braille change. Lord, can you see it?
It comes out like white, and your fingers can actually feel.
Yes, it's raising, it's going up and down.
Wow.
This is fascinating.
Wow.
We take a lot for granted. All right, so what about the laptop?
We take a lot
Okay, so the laptop, this is a standard laptop. What I have on it is a free screen reader. Okay, I did mention that a screen reader comes with a laptop. Let me just do that. Then I'll do the one that I use for reading. Okay. Oh, let me increase.
Okay, we can hear that.
Combo box exit collapse Alt plus D. Restart. Exit.
I think it's got a bit louder now.
Voice Microsoft D. Volume.
Do you want to cancel it?
Volume 100.
No, he's just saying.
Exit NVDA.
Okay, no. Okay, I wanted to put it over here because I wanted to put on the one that comes with Windows that everybody should be able to access.
Yeah.
So that will be control.
Inbox narrator heading level 1.
Okay, so this comes inbuilt with your computer. It's just there, just like the combination I used was Control Windows Enter to turn it on. And if I don't want to use it again, that means that the family member who wants to use this as a blind person can just come up to the family computer and issue that command and have their screen reader. And if they don't need anyone, just do the same thing.
Exiting narrator.
So it's back to without the screen reader. Okay, so that's one aspect of it. Then. Hold on.
Okay, while you're doing that, let me ask you, when people think about visual impairment, we often underestimate what is possible. So what kind of careers, what kind of jobs, what kind of professional opportunities can technologies like the screen reader you're showing us now bring out for somebody that they can unlock?
So maybe I start from the end, the top. It enables people to create their own technology, for example. A lot of the things we use now, like screen readers and all that, visually impaired people write so much of them. Because technology has opened up coding. There are people there are a lot of companies in Nigeria where a few of them who have coders that are blind. And, Amazon, the popular Amazon. The coders who created Amazon, they are blind. There's Josh Miller and somebody, I've forgotten, Fonzano, something, Phil Fonzano or something. There are 2 of them, and they are behind the whole of the Amazon web platform that we use, the shopping platform.
Wow.
And so it opens that profession. Then virtual assistants. Because when you're talking to someone who is a virtual, you don't know whether the person can see or not. So your belief systems, your possible unconscious biases are not there. And you don't know that the person you're talking to is blind. Then digital marketing, digital entrepreneurship. A lot of visually impaired people are now selling things online. They have their Instagram pages, they have their Facebook, and they sell things. People don't even know. For some years, I was buying something from a deaf woman. She didn't know I was blind. I didn't know she was deaf.
Wow.
We were just doing business until circumstances made us realize what. So those are the kind of things that then, of course, the good old professions have been enhanced. A broadcaster, everybody knows that blind people are broadcasters, right? We have them in different stations and all. But the point is, now, a visually impaired broadcaster can also seamlessly come into the 21st century broadcasting. Because if I were a newscaster and I was using my Braille display and you sent me a breaking news, it comes up on my, so the former problem of if there's breaking news, how do you communicate to the person has been overcome. So I can cast the news, I can produce my programs myself. Like
Cap D, folder Viola, Cap G, Google Chrome, Cap G,
This is absolutely fascinating.
okay, so this is the digital audio production software.
Control.
With this software, I can record my program, I can edit it, I can line my inserts, I can do my voiceover as necessary. Somebody in Lagos here used it for a documentary on one of the former governors of Lagos, and the governor was like, wow, I didn't know blind people. This was years ago, not even now.
Yeah.
And so you can do that. And if you are going to be a music producer as well, I can sequence all my music on my computer, edit it. I was a producer at a time in my life, and I did that. So there are things. And
Let me just show them so they have an idea of
the way the layout is. Yes. Well, of course, this one, like, everybody can use this. Everybody uses Audacity, which is another software for audio production. Everybody uses Adobe Audition when it was around. So, with the screen, a blind person can use all those things, all those devices, all those software platforms as well. And then I can play games on my computer. So I'm a chess champion.
I love it. That deserves something good.
Set him and today up.
I love it.
And I have a chess game on my computer that I can play with if nobody is around to play. I go online, I play on the online platforms as well.
And you knock them out.
Oh, well, I mean,
They
I
take
have
it
as much chance of beating the person as the person has of challenging me.
Oh, wow, this has been
I love it.
fascinating.
Okay, so before we let you go, if there's one misconception about disability or living with disability or visual impairment, you'd like every Nigerian to stop believing after today's conversation, what would that be?
Well, it is that that people with abilities, it's impossible for them to do this and that, because impossibility is an old word. I think we should start thinking about possibility now. There are so many things that can happen,
like
and
that.
all it takes is to get information.
Yeah.
Once you have the right information, you can take the right action, and then things become possible.
I love it. I
Wow,
really do.
very enlightening. I have a lot of friends that I'm going to call after the show and say, Chooks, have you heard of this new walking stick? I'm like, okay, Lola, I do. Anyway, I want to say thank you very much, Opeolu Akinola, the CEO of Accesstech Innovation and Research Center, for joining us today and helping us to understand life-changing potential of assistive technology. Thank you very much, Ope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So today we'll be reminded that disability is not inability.